Welcome to another episode of 507 Garage. In this video, we are going to rescan the mock-up turbo that we got from our sponsor, Comp Turbo. But we will be using one of these dry shampoo bottles. Basically, the turbo has a section right in the middle where it's a lot of chrome or a lot of reflective or really shiny section of the turbo in the middle of it. And because of that, when I use the 3D scanner and scan the turbo, it does not pick up that section because it's too shiny, so the light reflects right off of it. So then I just get this empty section. So by using a dry shampoo, which is an alternative to getting a 3D spray, which normally is like $120 something or whatever. This is a 3-pack. I got this from Amazon. It's from the company Not Your Mother's. And this is just a clean freak. I got the really simple, there's other different styles or types, but this is the original one. So I didn't want to get anything with any additional fragrances or whatever. And I will try that and see if it picks up the middle section once I actually spray it. So that is what the video is going to be about. So follow me along. This dry shampoo from Not Your Mother's. This is the Clean Freak 1 model style fragrance. It's the original fragrance, so I guess it's very plain. I don't know how to describe it, but this is what we're gonna use. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna spray the middle section here of the turbo, as well as the inside here, so I can capture better the inside of the turbo. I'll show you in a little bit what I mean. So you can see what it does. Just creates this non-reflective look. So I'll do the same to the middle section. This is what the middle section looks like now with the dry shampoo. You can kind of see how using that it coats it, so it's easier to scan. So we'll see how the scanner picks it up in a little bit. All right, so I already cleaned up the scan a little bit, removed the extra excess, like removing the base and things like that. So I kind of saved you guys having to see that. But here you can see what it scanned, and it looks like it did a really good job scanning the middle of it. So now the next thing that I need to do is flip the turbo upside down so I can get a scan of this section of the turbo, the bottom piece, as well as capturing everything that's face down. So if you can see everything here, we'll be able to capture everything that's on the bottom. But for the most part, it does a good job of catching the compressor, if you will. I think that's what normally would say right here, which is what was missing on the previous scan. So it did a good job catching that. If you can see, the turbo looks pretty good. There's some excess right in this section here. If I change the view to hide this texture and show me just basically the quality of the scan, you'll see more green, and on the areas that you'll see red is where it didn't get quite a good scan, so it doesn't have really good data here. So that's what I'm hoping to capture once I flip the turbo around. But as I was mentioning here, at the lip of the inlet here, it just has a little extra weird scan here. So I can try to clean that up, but I think I'll just leave it, because what I really care for is the profile of the turbo, and it's there. And if you can see, there are pretty good amount of green sections, which basically indicates really good scan quality. So this section here is not quite there. Same here with this bolt that's back there. And as you can see, just the bottom of the turbo didn't really get really good quality of scan on that section. But for the most part, everything is looking good. The section that I was really interested in is there. So what I'll do is I flip the turbo around, I will scan, or I will spray with the dry shampoo these sections here that you see, the bottom of this section of the inlet. I will spray that as well. And just for the purpose of getting the texture on this side of the extruder or the exit area, I will scan that, or I will spray that as well, just so I make sure I get that section. So, all right, so this is what the turbo looks like now that I sprayed the dry shampoo on it. You can see how everything is looking there. So I will be scanning just to see how that ends up looking. So I can see why people use the dry shampoo as an alternative. You can really, I'm almost done with the first bottle. So, all right, so I went and flipped the turbo and scanned the bottom of it. If you look at my scan and I change the view from texture to, I think it's detailed. I can't remember what the term is. But anyways, you can see my camera is really reflecting off of what's here. But if you were able to see the scan, okay, that looks a little better. The level of green that you see in the scan indicates the quality of the scan. So the more green you see is better. So then you can see some of the areas that were a little harder to get to, some of the crevices of the turbo, as you see there. I was able to get the underside, but I couldn't get this section just because this here is blocking the camera from actually getting a better view. So I'm hoping that when I scanned the turbo when it was upside or upright, that I got this section well, because I'm gonna take both images and merge them, and I will see how that looks. When you look down here on the bottom or the front of the turbo, because it was flipped upside down, it's more red, and there's even sections where it's completely blank. It didn't capture any data. So once it merges, those two scans should merge and it should be one complete piece. So the next thing I need to do with this is just create the point cloud. So I'm gonna do that right now. All right, so finally it generated the point cloud. And as you can see, I have two projects. The project one is the scan of the top of the turbo, and this project two is the scan of the bottom. So now what I need to do is I need to select the align feature. So I'm gonna select align, that way I can merge both of the projects into one. So I click on that. And for the first one, I picked project one as the top. As you can see, this one is the one that has this section of the turbo. And then for the second one, I picked project two. So let's see, how is it determining alignment here? We'll hit apply and see. It doesn't look like it's aligned it properly, but let's just hit apply and see what happens. Okay, and it did align it properly. I was concerned that it didn't do it right. So this is the top one. As you see, it has some of those areas there. And this is the bottom one. And once I hit next, and I hit exit, now it has grouped them together. And as you can see here, they're grouped together. So, I mean, this section is still kind of, still has some areas that has gaps in them. But this top part here of the turbo looks really good. You can kind of see some gaps in here as well. Some gaps, I guess in this area you don't see much. I guess I'm just seeing the inside just because of that's the image that one of the scans had. So as I rotate, the only areas of gap are just this section here where you couldn't really see, where the scanner wasn't able to really get in there. So you can see some of the areas where there's some gap, areas of data not being able to be collected there. But for the most part, the section that it struggled in are these. I'm sure if I spent a little bit more time on it, I would have been able to get proper data in these sections. But for the sponsor that I'm working with, they just need the profile of the turbo, which in this scan in particular, they even get a much better scan. You can see that it even gets the AR. It captures this really well, as well as in the front. It captures really well the name of the turbo that sits in front. So I would say that I'm pretty happy with this scan. And we haven't even finished the whole process. The next thing is that I have to do is actually what I did earlier with the alignment of the two scans so they can be grouped together. And then what I need to do now is mesh. So I guess I called it align, or I called the align feature, or the process of aligning the two projects or the two scans, I called that by the wrong name. Align is when the two different scans, if you're scanning something that is top and bottom or whatever, and you want to put the several scans together, the system will automatically try to pinpoint the areas and then scan them, and then align them together to make one piece, which is what you saw happen. Now the next process is the mesh process. So hopefully this one doesn't kill the computer or kill the application. In the past, if it's too much, too many points, it tends to do that. Right now we're at almost 7.5 million points that it has. So we'll see how it does. For this section, I'm going to just cut two, just because it's just gonna take a long time. So here we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave the on water sorry, not unwater type model. So I don't want the application to try to fill any holes. I'm just gonna say leave it as is. I'm gonna leave the filter as none, smooth as low, or actually turned off. All I'm caring about is the max triangles, and that's it. So I'm just gonna hit apply. And we're going to cut to, because once it hits 30%, then it starts taking a longer time. So I'm hoping it doesn't really crash the application, and that my 32 gigs of RAM and my slower or less capable graphics card can handle the load, and then I can show you guys what the mesh data points look like when completed. So see you once this is completed. All right, so trying to provide an update now on the meshing of the two scans. So you've already seen how I scanned the top of the turbo, the bottom of the turbo, and now we meshed everything. So you can see the meshing of the drawing looks good. The area of concern, or where the scan didn't go well, it's in here. However, I can live with this just because, as I mentioned again, for the all-wheel drive Lexus GS Wagon, the company I'm working with, they only need the profile of the turbo. Basically, the turbo scan only matters to them, so we can get the idea of the size of the turbo. So then all of the 3D work can be figured out digitally, as the next thing I need to do is scan the engine bay. I need to scan the 3UZ. I have a 3UZ full engine pulled off of a LS430. Got lucky and got it really cheap. $107. I just need to go and pick it up whenever it's ready. So that way I can provide them those scans, the scan of the engine, the scan of the turbo. Since it's going to be a twin turbo, twin charge V8, they will need all of these scans to be able to use it. One of the issues I ran into with this computer is because the graphic card is very limited. It struggled to compile or do the meshing. Right now I have 12.5 million triangles that was produced by putting all of this together. That is the highest amount that I've ever had to produce so far on a scan. They've normally been within 2 million, 3 million triangles. This one is 12 million. So with me using the dry shampoo, I was able to capture a lot more data, especially in the middle here. If you can see on the back of the front of the turbo, it captured everything that is on this side. So I'm really content with the use of it. Now, since I used a lot of the spray and I sprayed it very, I didn't hold back pretty much. I think that's another reason why I captured so much data, or there was so much more to capture from it. So again, I'm really content with how everything looks. And right now, if I were to go and change the color and change it to removing the texture, it would look like this blue color. And it looks pretty good. I mean, you can see the areas that it picked up. It picked up the bolts. It even picked up some of the casting for the back of the turbo and everything. I even sprayed this section, as you saw, of the turbo just so it could pick it up, because it tends to do, it seems like it just helps be able to scan it better. So my takeaway from using dry shampoo versus a scanning spray, I give it a 2 thumbs up, because I feel that it's a little more cost effective, even if every bottle made by the other brand that is meant for 3D scanning costs $19.99 per bottle. Even if it's $17 per bottle, I can get 3 of the not your mother's, for example, dry shampoo, for $17, I can get 3 of them. So it makes it a lot cheaper for me. And that way I can be a little more, I don't know, careless or carefree when I spray. I don't have to try to save the bottle or make it last. I can just spray freely, and you know, because I ordered through Amazon, I can just have another one ordered. So that is my review of it. So again, what I will say is that, again, 2 thumbs up on using the dry shampoo. It appears to be a cheaper, more cost-effective option for being able to spray the surface of something you're gonna scan with your 3D scanner, just so you can capture it better. So I recommend it. I will be using more of it. I've actually probably need to order more, because I'm thinking I'm just gonna spray the engine bay of the Lexus. I feel like there's gonna be some areas that I need to spray. So I wanna have enough, so when I spray it, I don't have to worry about, oh, I ran out. That way I can spray the engine bay. Also, when I scan the 3UZ engine, I can spray areas where it can't capture certain darkness, or if something is too reflective, it can be scanned and picked up. Other things that I want to scan are, this car I want to have billet knuckles made. So I have a set of rear and front knuckles that I want to scan. I just need to clean them up first, and I want to scan those. And with the company that I'm working with, that is the plan, to get billet ones made, just because I want them to be lighter. So my goal is to try to make as many billet parts, or scan to make as many carbon fiber parts for not only this car, but also the race car. So that is the goal for getting the 3D scanner. I also have a 3D printer, so I'm trying to get more familiar with these things, as well as with carbon composites and things like that. So that is the goal. That is what I'm pushing for this year. And the last thing I would say that I'm pushing for is to learn to fabricate more. So just continue to stay tuned on the channel to see for that. And I appreciate you guys' support and patience. Please keep liking and subscribing the posts. Thanks to everybody that has helped us get to 803 subscribers. Hoping that the channel continues to grow. And just hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time we put a new video out. Again, thank you and take care. See you on the next episode.